What's going on, guys? I'm back with a brand new suggestion box review for you guys. And I just watched what we call The Cube, starring Maurice Dean Went. Man, why'd you name this guy? Why'd y'all name him that? The parents of this guy? What are y'all thinking? Nicole DeBoer and David Hewlett. First of all, you know what I'm about to do. Okay. You know where I'm about to go with this. I got to give the huge shout out to the one and the only Cheryl Burton. Okay. You know it was coming. You knew it was coming. All right. Keep them coming. Keep those suggestions coming. And don't be shy, man. Anybody else have suggestions? Bring it up. Suggest away. All right. First of all, for the second time, this has little to do with the movie that I'm talking about. Little. But I have to bring this up because it's just about time, okay? I'm talking about copycat films. Now, no, this concept is not new. It's older than the beginning of film history, all right? Not really. It's just, for some reason, when they put one movie out within that same year, somebody else has to do a copycat because they saw the other one do good numbers. And so they like, okay, well, I got to put mine out now. Or somebody just happened to have the same idea. But most likely it's because they're trying to get the numbers the other one had. All right? Or just trying to copy. And it's getting sad. It's getting sad, especially within this year. It's pretty bad within this year alone. I've seen an overabundance of it. Okay? Let's start off with saying, just off of this movie alone, there's also another movie called The Platform, all right, which has these people locked in this imprisonment building where there's all these floors, these levels of floors. They go down, it gets worse, and it gets worse, or whatever, okay? And then it just sounds, it's not the same design as the Cube, of course, but the premise is so similar. It's so similar, all right? And it makes me wonder, were they thinking the same thing? Were they had the same idea, or did they watch this movie and they were like, you know what, they did, we're gonna do it too, but hold on, we're gonna put a little twist on it. We're gonna put a little bit of a different kind of vibe to it. They never guess. No, wrong. Let's get to this year. Let's get to the issue of this year. It seems that a lot of movies are being put out that are talking about the uprising of different companies and name brands and products and how they got started. And now people want to make like biopics about those. Back to back within this 1 year. It's been done constantly. I don't know if the whole group got together of Hollywood and they said, let's do this or what. But first we had Tetris. Okay, and it seems like a pretty cool concept, right? I haven't seen this movie at all. And, you know, nothing wrong with that. Tetris, I wouldn't think that would be much of an interesting, game to focus on. But, you know, they still went out and they made that movie. Okay. And they got some big stars in there. And it seems like it could be interesting. But then, right after that, Air came out. Now Air, it had a little more fame to it. It had a little more or pizzazz to it because the people's attention was brought in a little stronger on Air. It's Nike year. It's the tale of how Nike got so big. And then apparently Jordan is in there. Michael Jordan himself is in the movie, but they won't show him anywhere in the previews. Okay? That's the big shocker. So I was supposed to watch that. Never got a chance to, because I started to see that pattern going on. I was like, oh, well, Tetris just came out. And I actually thought Tetris came out after this, but it didn't. And I was like, well, what's going on here? I mean, should I run to go see this? We had Tetris, we have this, and now we had Tetris. What's happening? What's happening here? I'm still gonna try to see Nike here. I haven't heard anything about it, which is weird. And so I'm wondering, is there anything to these movies? Because after that, Flamin' Hot came out, and at this point, I was like, please stop. Please, I can't. I don't know if I can take any more. At this point, you're making a movie about Flamin' Hot Cheetos, the worst, one of the worst habits amongst the common people right now is loving some Flamin' Hot Cheetos. For what reason? I don't know. I'm not a spicy food fan in the first place, but people just go crazy over this. These Cheetos. And now you have a movie about it. Did we want to see a whole movie about Flamin' Hot Cheetos? Now, yes, mind you, it could be funny, a comedy, but still. But they didn't stop there, because now Dumb Money's about to come out. Which, from what I know, it's some stocks that are going on. People are raising stocks for small companies like GameStop, when GameStop wasn't even almost a thing. So they're going back all the way back to that. All right. Which, once again, might not be a bad idea if you haven't done 10,000 other movies like this within this same damn year. All right. So I at this point, I'm worn out. I'm worn out on this. This is ridiculous. Okay. Before I end this session on this one, I want to go all the way back some years to when our Marvel actors were getting side gigs so fast because they were in Marvel. It was crazy. On one end, you had our boy that played Magneto in Snowman. All right. And that was a movie about a murder mystery done in a cold environment. And on the other end, in the same year, Wind River came out, and you had Hawkeye and Scarlet Witch in that one, and The Punisher in that same movie. Murder mystery in the cold. Now, I just, Hollywood baffles me with this. They just can't be original. They can't even be original within the same year. Within the same circle of actors who are on the same franchise have to go out and do the same movie on the side. It's pitiful. They should be embarrassed. They should be embarrassed, but they're not. They're not. My question is, now that we have Cube, and if I watch the platform after this, will those movies be just exactly the same? I'm about to find out. Let's go. The Cube. For those who don't know, for those who are not aware, well, it was 1997. I'll give you that. If you're rather young, 1997 seems to be a long time ago now. It's like 1987 for me. All right, so I'm gonna let you slide just for that point, just for that reason. I'll let you slide if you don't know about the Cube. All right. The Cube is pretty much about, well, it starts off with 2 or 3 people waking up in this cube-like facility. All right. And they're already wondering, why and how did I get there? And they start to slowly figure out that there are different rooms and compartments to this cube. And there are more people lying around in other parts of this cube, all right? Not that much more, but a good little number. All right. And now they must figure out, is there any escape? Is there any escaping the cube? That's the premise. That's pretty much the premise. All right. Positives. Each character had a purpose in here. I'm going to put it like this. The character dynamic in this movie was good. It was really good. It takes me back to the old sci-fi thrillers that I used to watch back in the 90s and the 80s. Okay, with like Terminator and Predator, with how they grouped a bunch of people together that barely had anything in common except for the organization they were within. Besides that, they were just so different from each other. And that's the same thing with this. You have a cop who's destined to be the leader of the group. All right. You got a doctor who has this heart that's too much for everybody else. She's too caring. All right, to a fault. All right. you have this one girl who's smarter than you ever know, smarter than she puts on. Okay. You have a guy who's depressed all the time, and there's a reason for that. I won't say, but he's so cynical and sarcastic, and there's a reason why he's just built like this. All right. You have another guy who, let's just say he's professional when it comes to this type of stuff. He's built for this entire cube organization and how it's built up. He knows, for some reason, he knows how to get around this. Okay? And so you have all these different characters and people, and when they clash, they really clash. And some get along, surprisingly, when they shouldn't. You know, but it doesn't really go anywhere sometimes. But yeah, so it's an interesting dynamic here with the characters. Another positive: the design of the cube itself. Honestly, the cube is a perfect name for it because it just reminds me of an Rubik's Cube. All right. From time to time, you'll hear clicking. You'll hear like these loud noises. They heard loud noises. The whole time they didn't know something was going on. Spoiler alert, spoiler alert. I got to put that across the screen right now. I just can't. It's hard to explain this. But it's just like in a Rubik's Cube. It twists, it turns, it rotates. All right. And so you have to be, you have to know what's going on. You have to know what's going on with this entire thing, or you're going to be lost. You're going to be lost within that whole facility. Okay. So that was just so cool alone by itself. Another positive: this movie was incredibly smart. All right. And I say, what I mean by that is you have these different characters, right? I mentioned that earlier. There's different characters in this movie. So you have some characters that are good at math. And so it takes math skills to get through some of this. Then you have some characters who are better than the other one at that same thing. All right. It's going to surprise you. It's going to surprise you a lot. Who knows what and who doesn't know what. Like I said, you have a cop, so he's using his cop skills to get around. Kind of more his bully skills, but he's using his cop profession and what he learned as a cop to just kind of break people down while at the same time learning or doing his detective work to get the hell up out of here. All right, so he has his thing going on. And then you have the doctor who is just, caring for everybody. And she did come in handy. She came in handy. All right. She knew how to appear as a sentimental, caring person for every time somebody got hurt or injured, anything like that, she was there. She was there. She was very helpful in that manner. All right. Maybe to a fault, but like I said, she did come in handy. So there is, like I said in the beginning, there is a reason that every person in that room is there. Not only just because you want to see some conflict, but also because they all have their own thing on them. They all have their own skill or life trade that they've learned that they can contribute to the cube or getting the hell out of the cube. Okay, and it's interesting that it just comes in use like that. All right, no one is useless within this squad that they are in. Let's put it like that. This is very interesting, a very interesting concept. Last positive. There are several big reveals in this movie. Of course, I can't give them away. Let's just say, from the time that you see these characters develop or first on the screen, you can't really tell where it's going to go as far as character development. And so as you watch it, there are going to be some characters who don't get along. There are going to be some characters who get along immediately. And then there are going to be some characters who kind of build a relationship with each other in this movie. But then in the midst of it all, some things or some dark past are revealed. Some big dark secrets that'll make you be like, okay, I knew this person was quite the character, but I didn't know they did all that. And then the other reveal just hops back out the gate to the other person, because once you tell on one person, the other person's got to hit back, right? And so that other reveal is like, that's pretty harsh. That's pretty harsh. And then you start to see the true colors of certain characters, and it's not pretty. It's not pretty. All right, and that made for one of the best, or one of the better acting parts in this movie. All right, that slow build up to just this one person being a totally different person from what you thought. It's crazy, and it kind of happens twice. It happens twice, actually. You'll never see the other one coming. You'll never see the other one coming. Now you could kind of guess. Maybe you can try to guess now. Not gonna help, but you ain't gonna see the other one coming. Trust me, you won't. You won't. So within that aspect of how things are revealed, or how things are not a twist, well, kind of a twist, but at the same time, it's kind of like a slow burn, all right? And once the thing blows up, it's insane. It gets insane. It gets very intense throughout this movie, okay? Negatives. The over-exaggerated acting. I wouldn't say it's bad, but I think they were trying a little too hard. All right, and it's definitely dated. Even for 1997, that acting is dated. All right, I seriously thought that I got the year wrong, or maybe that was 1987. I don't know, because just from the beginning, the cop was one of the worst ones with that acting. It's like, what are you gonna do? What's gonna happen now? And what is going on here? And I've seen better acting on earlier stints of Star Trek. All right, and Captain Kirk was one of the most exaggerated actors or characters I've ever known, and this topped that. that as far as exaggerated acting goes, it knocked it out the box clearly. All right, they could have just toned that down just a little bit, just a notch. Tone it down a notch with the exaggeration. All right, and to be honest, most of these actors and actresses are not like big celebrities like that. They haven't been in a whole lot of movies throughout the years. Some recognizable a little bit, but they're usually like supporting characters at best. And so I guess you're gonna get that. I guess the director told them to go over the top. Right? And they did. So if that's the goal, they did a very good job at it. All right, they did a very good job at that. But if that's not the goal, I can kind of see why y'all haven't been in any movies in such a long time. I'd say over 2 decades. All right. Negative number 2. The death scenes lacked so much creativity. Okay, now while the movie was very interesting at times, and it was the fate of certain people, I think they could have went a little harder with the death scenes, with how the kill counts. Okay, not the count, but just the way that they were killed, or certain people's met their demise. It just wasn't. It wasn't anything you'd see on Aliens. All right, I've seen people die worse in that movie alone than this one. All right, they were mediocre deaths, and I'm not sitting here looking for crazy messed up. Okay, yes, I am. Okay, I am, but still, you could have went a little harder than that. You just stabbing somebody through the stomach, and you know, I've seen that before. People falling through stuff and falling down, you know, a dark hole and all that. It's not. Are you going to show it? That's another thing. They didn't show a lot of the deaths either. They didn't really show the grittiness of it, the detail of it. And so that kind of had me a little disinterested in that part. But it's all right. It's all right. Last negative. There was a weird decision made with the potential liability. All right. I'm not going to say too much, but there's a person on here that was a liability. There are several liabilities. So you don't know who I'm really talking about, but there's a specific liability that knowing what that liability was, they shouldn't have made it that far. They should have not made it that far, okay? But because of the decision of other people, they made it too far. And there's this light at the end of the tunnel for that decision. But in the hindsight of things, in real life, that particular person would not have made it that long. Seeing right from the jump what's going on and what's wrong, not a chance. But you know what? I've still got to give this a hell yeah. I'm giving it a hell yeah. All right. It got me. It had me. It reminded me of the old time movies, the old sci-fi thrillers I used to watch and love. And I was like, how did I miss this? Press that like button, share, you better subscribe.